so welcome. I'm so excited that you all are here. And as you are coming on, I can see you watching. Just drop a hello in the chat so that I know that you're here and I get a chance to interact with you through the chat. So go ahead and do that. We've got a lot of new folks that have hello. We have a lot of new folks that have registered to come and watch the live tonight. So I'm so excited just about how the community is growing and all the people that are coming in, all you wonderful ladies. So that's so exciting. So be sure to drop a hello in the chat. Again, so that we see you, or I see you, and I know who you are. So my name is Candace Spears. Of course, I'm the host of this community. I'm a life and business coach. I am a serial entrepreneur, real estate investor, mom of 3, wife, and whatever else you want to name. Tonight, we are going to be doing really the second in what was a quick series, because December is kind of short for us because of the holidays. So a quick series really around business operations and business operations logistics. And so if you saw the live training from last week, Thursday, I talked about how this was a member requested topic. So shout out to Cassandra George Henderson, who had brought up this topic when she started to talk about tools and dealing with teams. So what I thought I'd do tonight is go ahead and do a rundown for you all on the tools that I use, and some that I've used in the past and don't anymore, but the tools that I use for remote team management. And again, I've got a team, a full team of, how many of us is it? 4. So 2 of the folks is in the Philippines, 1 of them is in Jamaica, that is Kamiko, who you may have interacted with. Then there's CJ behind the scenes and Chari as well, on both the creative and my ads manager side. So being able to deal with remote teams, super, super important thing. Now, some of you may not be at the point, hi Lisa, some of you may not be at the point yet where you are dealing with a team. So you really may be at just sort of the early stages of, I'm just trying to figure out what my idea is. Like, I'm just trying to get my business off the ground. Or maybe you're working as a solopreneur and haven't really got to that point of bringing on others. So here's what I like to know on this topic. If you are currently dealing with a team, maybe you've hired a contractor, maybe you've hired a consultant, whatever it is, if you're currently dealing with a team, go ahead and drop a Y in the chat for yes. If you are not yet dealing with a team, so you're still kind of either getting your business together or maybe you haven't started to launch your business, just drop an N, just so that I know who I'm dealing with here as we continue on with the training. And now while you're doing that, for those of you that will watch on replay, be sure to hashtag replay. And you're going to want to stay tuned for the very end, because I'm going to talk about one particular tool that is just, it is my life. It is my life. It gives me life, and it works wonders with a team and really even beyond. So it's one that you're going to want to stick around for sure. And I have a little surprise, but it requires some feedback. All right, great. So we got Simone, we've got Lisa. Nope, not yet, not yet. Okay, fantastic. All right, so let's jump into the first one. And the first one is probably the more common one. So I'm going to go through. They're ones that I use and I use often, but as I go to the list, I'm kind of starting with 5 all the way down to 1. Like I said, I kind of have more than 5, but I'll lump them together. So this first one is really in the project management space, and there's probably no surprise what I might say right now. You kind of heard some of this floating around the group, and that is Asana. So Asana is something that we use in our team right now very, very actively. And so essentially you've got a task that needs to get done. Somebody needs to do it. I will often use it for my own things as well. So if there's things that I need to get done and I need to keep track of them, I will put them in there and decide when I need to get it done or put tasks in for myself, that type of thing. So one of the things that you can also consider if you don't have that team yet is this is something that you might just find helpful in the course of building your business and the activities that you need to do. Asana is a free tool. They've got a paid version as well, but it's something that you can use for free. Now, the other thing that I used to use before we transitioned into Asana was Trello. Again, these are kind of the big guns that are out there. And Trello, what I liked about Trello is it's super easy to use. So super drag and drop. You've got one thing you want to get it done, move it, create your swim lanes. Is it to do? Is it in progress? Is it done? That type of thing. So that has been super helpful, but I let that go because Asana has got just a bit more features that we need. So that's that. That's that in sort of the project management sort of land. And I group those two together for one. Okay. So the next one that is super prevalent in my business these days is just Google Drive. And I think for most people, Google Drive is becoming the thing. Maybe not. Just drop it in the chat if you use Google Drive. Like, just drop a 1 if you use Google Drive, a 2 if you don't mess with it. Like you're just a Office person, Office 365 or something like that. So if you do use Google Drive, just drop a 1 in the chat so that I know I'm not crazy, because I feel like everybody uses it or that they should use it. So within my business, when it comes to Google Drive, here's how we keep everything organized. Everything from client-related things. So I know Lisa, who's in Finding Freedom Accelerator. Lisa, I see you're on. We keep everything from, hey, what's going on with the client and particular things that have happened, all the way to content. So I've got content creation masters that we have to collaborate on, and social media matrices and what's going out when and all that type of thing. All that happens with Google Drive. And so it's just an awesome collaboration space and a super nice one to have. And let me just go over here to the chat because sometimes I don't see a scroll and I miss it. Okay, perfect. All right. So those are kind of some that you probably heard of, interacted with at some point in time, I'm going to guess, right? You probably hear them around a lot. Now, the next few, well, the next one you may have, but the last two may be some that either you haven't heard of a lot or you haven't started to use a lot, perhaps. Okay, so before we get into the next one, which is really around communication and two-way communication, here's one of the things that I just sort of thought about as I was putting this list together. What I thought about was there are likely so many of you that are not yet at this stage of dealing with team members and bringing on contractors and that type of thing. But even though you're looking forward to it one day, you're just not there yet. Well, here's one of the things that I want to share with you. And if you are interested in it, because I will only do this if there is actual interest in it, if you're interested in it, is I was thinking about putting together either a quick video or maybe a download, something that allows you to sort of create your own team now where you are. And this would be the team that would help you accelerate your exit. So my team creation, however, I've got a couple different players now, but my team started while I was in corporate. I started that while I was in corporate, and that was very important for me because I needed to accelerate. I needed to leverage my time. So if that's something that you all are interested in, if you'd like for me to create a video or free download or something, where you can start to frame out your own team for where you are now and what makes sense to do now, then just drop a me in the chat. Me or interested, either one. Me or interested in the chat, and then I'll know to make that and get that over to you as well. Okay? All right. So next thing. So talking about communication. So the tool that we're using right now, primarily, got you, Simone. So the tool that we're using right now primarily is Skype. I know that probably seems archaic, at least to me. It seems archaic, even though we're still using it. It just seems like, well, Skype has been around a long time. And yes, they have. But it has worked well in terms of just two-way communication. So most of the team, we utilize Skype for some of our newer folks. And I'll tell you why. First off, I think it's important to have a two-way communication that isn't necessarily social media. So right now, so like Kamiko, who manages this community, we're still doing a lot of our communication via Instagram, and haven't completely migrated to Skype yet. One, because I'm kind of wavering on the platform. But what we found as a headache is sometimes messages get lost. So I got all types of things going on in my social media inbox. So to have a message from somebody on my team that needs something urgently versus someone who is like, hey, can we talk? Or hey, are you interested in this? Or whatever. Maybe it's a prospect related conversation happening, can get very confusing. So to be able to have sort of a system that's dedicated for the team is important. And currently we use Skype. Now, what I have used, so this is going to be a 2-in-1. So what I have used is Slack, and I do like it. We just didn't make our transition well. So I probably will transition over to that fully at some point in time. That is another messaging platform that's just super awesome to use. Okay. All right. So now these last two. So first thing, if security is important to you, when I say security, I mean, I don't want my identity stolen. I don't want my accounts hacked into, whatever. If that is important to you, just hashtag secure. Just hashtag secure in the chat. If that is important to you, hashtag secure, okay? Here's the deal. When it comes to security and you managing a team, not everything that you have in your, first off, everything that you have in your business has some level of sensitivity. Everything that you have, right? Everything has some level of sensitivity. So you want to be able to protect your business. You want to be able to manage access appropriately. You also don't want to have to go crazy with changing a password every time you've brought on, you've hired a new contractor or you've found somebody or whatever it is, right? So one of the ways that I deal with this is through Lastpass. So Lastpass is my best friend in my business. Lastpass is my best friend. Well, this plus the next tool that I'm going to tell you about, but Lastpass is a big one. So if you have ever heard of Lastpass, just drop a yes. If you haven't, just drop a no. Because I'm curious how many of you are aware of Lastpass. And this is something that you can utilize in your personal life as well. It doesn't have to just be in your business. So drop a yes or no. If you've heard of it, drop a yes. If you haven't, drop a no. Now, Lastpass, so essentially what it does is whenever there are passwords, any passwords. Okay, so this is new to you, Simone. Okay, so whenever there are passwords to anything, any account, anything, it stores it all there. And so what I have the ability to do is, if someone needs to get into the back end of a system, I can give them the access, but I can give them the ability to access it without necessarily giving them the password. So this starts to come in handy because, especially if you have maybe new contractors that you bring on for specific purposes, and then maybe, you swap them out or don't use them later. It's really a hassle to have to change out passwords and then go do a new one and go do a new one. Plus, it's not super secure. So using Lastpass just allows you to store all of that, and then you can just manage the access. So you can just give them the access. If they need to see the password, it's got a selection where you can say, yeah, show them the password or don't show it. And then when they're not working on the team anymore or you need to revoke access, you never have to change a password. You just control that all through Lastpass. So that one is an absolute must-have. Okay, so now when I get to the last one, which this is the one I really do love. Yes, it's also a best friend. But before I get there, both for those of you that are just joining us or those of you that may be watching on a replay, what I did say earlier is that although there are a lot of you who don't yet have team members, you're not necessarily there in your business where you're bringing on contractors and that type of thing. What I'm going to do, if there is interest, only if there is interest, because I just don't like doing stuff for just the fun of it. So if there is interest, is to create something, maybe it's a download, maybe it's a video, but create something where you can essentially create your own team for right now, like for where you are, create your own team that allows you to accelerate your exit. So like I mentioned earlier, again, I know we've got a lot of new people joining, but like I mentioned earlier, my team and my creation of a team, although I've got some new players now, started while I was still in corporate because I wanted to accelerate my exit. And so I was looking for the ways and opportunities in which I could create a team, right? And create a team working within the income that I had at the time to be able to help me exit. So if that is something that you are interested in, just drop a me or interested in the chat. If that is something that you are interested in, drop a me or interested in the chat. Then I'll create it and then just make sure that you guys get it. Free video, free download, something along those lines, okay? So me or interested if that's something that you would like. All right, last tool. All right, this one is one in which it is my go-to whenever there's something that I need to explain or I just need to get out quickly, and I know that me typing it, me sending an email, none of it will just do it justice. And that is Loom. Loom, L-O-O-M. So if you've heard of Loom, just drop a heard it in the chat. And by the way, Cassandra, Brianna, I see you. Got it. So if you've heard of Loom, all that came together. If you've heard of Loom, L-O-O-M, drop a yes in the chat. If you haven't and it's new to you, just drop a no. I promise you, you are going to love this. Yes, Simone, heard it. And if you've used it, Simone, have you used it? If you've used it, let me know in the chat. Yes, Cassandra heard it and used it. I'm so excited. Brianna heard it. Okay, fantastic. All right, so you've heard of it. This is good. Now, if you are not using this on steroids, perfect. Lisa has too. Okay, so it's not as novel as I thought it was. Okay, Keisha hasn't heard of it. Simone hasn't. All right, so somebody's gonna listen to my excitement. So Loom essentially is a screen recording software. And so I will use Loom for everything, whether that is, and in fact, just a few days ago, there was something that I needed to explain to my husband, and this is kind of funny. There was something that I needed to explain to my husband. It was just we were doing some budgeting stuff. I was doing some budgeting stuff that I needed him to weigh in on. And when I went to chat with him about it, he was like, okay, I can't do this right now. Like, can we do it later? And I said, you know what? Better yet, I have an idea. And I went to Loom and I brought up the sheet that I was working with, and I essentially clicked the button, started recording and talking. I was talking through everything that I wanted him to understand and respond to. Then in my email, I just dropped the link and was like, it's in your court from now on, buddy. So essentially, Loom is a great way to be able to communicate, here are the things that I need, or if you're finding challenges, like help me through this, or I use it for giving feedback on things. I also use it inside of my business. So inside of the accelerator, we have different training modules. I use it for that as well. And so, Lisa, I know that you can attest to this. You will see certain videos where you'll see me appear on them, of course, but I'm talking through different things. So Loom is a fantastic tool to just use for communicating overall. Okay, so those are my big five, and I know there are kind of more than five, but that's okay. Those were my big five. So first off, if there are any questions, please go ahead and just drop them into the chat if you have any. And let me just scroll down here to make sure I'm not missing anything. But yeah, you can go ahead and drop them in the chat if you have any. Otherwise, like I mentioned, for any folks that may have just joined us, this topic of creating a team, what I will do, and I already see that there's some interest. So what I will do is create either it'll be a download or a video. I'm just gonna have to see how it comes together. Something that allows you to say, okay, if I'm gonna create my team right now, where I am, whether I fully started my business or whether I've had it up and going for a while, something that allows you to say, okay, this is how I should try to think about creating a team that allows me to accelerate my exit. Okay, and if that is something that you're interested in, drop a me or drop an interested in the chat, and I will make sure that when I get it up, I'll work on it. When I get it up and create it, I'll make sure that you get the link to go and grab it. And Cassandra, I see I was late. I'll go back to the replay. Okay. No problem. You are welcome. You're welcome, Cassandra. So, ladies, that's all that I have for you tonight. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.